Hey guys, it's Diddle here from ConsultingHQ. Great to see you again and have you on board. In today's video podcast, we're going to be talking about what may be preventing you from getting your dream job in, say, corporate or even consulting. Let's get started. Okay, so in today's question, we're going to be talking about what may be preventing you from getting hired in either a corporate role or even in consulting. And of course, we're talking about consulting because we represent the consulting industry here at ConsultingHQ. Now, before we get started, as always, I'm going to just mention, hit the subscribe button and don't forget to check out the freebies that are in the links below, particularly if you want a best practice CV and cover letter template. There is one there available for you to use. It's a free download. It's PDF, actually no, it's a Word document, also G Suite compatible. It just goes straight to your inbox. We have been developing that CV template for quite some time and it's best practice. It's definitely going to help you if you are looking for your next role. So coming back to the big question, right? So what will be preventing you from landing a role in either consulting or even somewhere in corporate, just generally? Well, it could be a number of different things. And I'd say the first big one, of course, we're going to start off with maybe even the most obvious one, your CV. Now, I just talked about the fact that we've got a best practice CV template. If you're not using that, obviously, I'd recommend checking it out because it'll instruct you and give you some insights into things you should include and things not to include. But let's address a couple of those here. The big one, of course, is your achievements. In your CV, make sure you list out your achievements. And I say this, and here at Consulting HQ, we say this as well, because time and time again, we see lots of CVs where people have put down stuff, things that they've done or that they've worked on or that they do, but not really what they've achieved. Now, why is that important? Well, your prospective employer wants to see what sort of outcomes you have reached and obtained throughout your career. So maybe you're working in the retail industry or the manufacturing industry or, like the mining industry or even banking. Regardless of what industry you've been in and regardless of what you've done over the time in your career, make sure you list out your achievements and tag them according to which role that you've been in. The other thing too in your CV, make sure you use action words. So these words are like verbs, right? So you achieved X. Your outcome was X. You led this team, right? So these powerful action words are things that recruiters look for. You delivered X, Y, and Z. That's an action word, right? So the more action words you attribute to your achievements and how you describe yourself in your CV, then the better it's going to be in terms of helping you stand out amongst your competitors when you go and apply for a role. In your cover letter, and assuming you want to put a cover letter together, you don't need to. I generally do. That's my preference. But in your cover letter, make sure that you address what your knowledge of the role is that you're applying for and what your knowledge of the company is that you're also applying for as well. Again, that's one area where on too many occasions, it just comes across that the individual, when they applied for a role, has submitted a very generic CV. And it's the same CV they could have applied or used rather to apply for a number of other different jobs. Make sure you customize and tailor your CV for the job that you're applying for and use some keywords that link back to the job that you're applying for and even the employer that you're applying for as well. So there's a couple of big things that if you're not doing, could be letting you down in terms of landing your dream role in either consulting or corporate. The next big thing we're going to talk about, of course, is your LinkedIn profile. Now, a little bit of a secret here. Most recruiters, in fact, all recruiters and hiring managers will go check you out on your LinkedIn profile. They're going to see what sort of person you are, who you're connected to, what sort of achievements or rather what your career history is, your academic history, any groups that you're associated or tagged with, and of course, how active you are in LinkedIn groups as well. The big one that they will look for, And it comes as no surprise. We're human beings. We just want to know is what you look like. So to that end, make sure you have a professional profile picture in your LinkedIn. And I'll even go as far as to say also have a very professional looking banner. Now, coming back to the first one, if you don't have a professional looking LinkedIn profile, pay a little bit of money and go get someone with a camera or even a professional photographer to take some professional photos of you. It goes a long way. Then in your LinkedIn profile, also take some time and care to write out a very good about me description, of course, about yourself, and do the same underneath each one of the employers that you have worked for in the past as well. And again, use action words and your achievements and put those in there as well. Make sure that what's in your CV marries up with what's in your LinkedIn profile. So there's a couple of key things. The last thing I'd say as well is your interview technique. And this is huge. Let's assume that you've made it to interview. Make sure you go in as being the best dressed person at interview. Now, for guys, I'm always going to say I'm a little bit biased, but yes, it does work. Suit and tie 100% of the time, and formal business attire, ladies equivalent, right? So yes, regardless of what industry you're in, and again, you could be maybe in a formal corporate setting, or maybe in applying for a job or a role that may on surface appear a little bit relaxed. Either way, if you're going for an interview, treat it as serious as you can and dress in the most formal business attire that you can. That is my recommendation. That thin slice can go a long way in terms of a hiring manager or even a recruiter addressing and assessing what sort of person you're likely to be in terms of working with. So that's your dress. But also go in armed with the knowledge of much as you can, learn as much as you can about the company that you are applying for. Again, I ask this question almost on all occasions when people come and interview with me, and I say, right, well, tell us a little bit about the organisation you're applying for, and they can't name how many employees, or can't mention how many employees that are in the organisation, or what the organisation even does, or how it's structured, even though all that information is available for free and easily accessible on the internet. The last thing I'd say as well is when you go in and for an interview, make sure also too you have very detailed knowledge of the role that you are applying for, and always state the value in terms of you can give on the job, and to both the employer and to that role as well. And what I mean by value, well, these are the traits and the skills and experience and expertise that you come armed with before you hit that role. And it could be, for example, your leadership skills, or your functional skills, or your domain skills. So your functional skills meaning, your ability to work with a team, or your ability to carry out specific tasks. And your domain skills, well, that would be your industry knowledge of that particular area. Maybe related to technology, or maybe via industry, like I mentioned before, retail, mining, banking, or something like that. So by not having these things in place, CV, LinkedIn, your interview skills all polished and tied down, those three big things is what letting you down from not landing your dream role in either a consulting or corporate job. Now, before we conclude this video podcast, don't forget to check out the freebie I just mentioned before, the CV and cover letter template. It is in a Word document, but it's also compatible with G Suite as well. It is a best practice cover letter and CV template. We've taken a little bit of time to carefully build it out. It includes mistakes of what to avoid, but also includes things of what to include, and a complete list of all the verbs, the action verbs I talked about earlier in this video. And last but not least, if you're also interested, I would highly recommend checking out the LinkedIn Secret Exposed ebook. It is a huge book which describes how to optimize your LinkedIn profile and really, make it polished and really stand out, so that when recruiters and hiring managers check out your LinkedIn profile, they're actually wowed by it. And that's where you want to get to. So don't forget to check out that ebook as well. I'll drop the link to that ebook in the chat and comment section below. By the way, I'd love your feedback on this video, and if there's anything we can do to help you, please drop us a question. Don't forget to check out the links, and of course, as always, I'd say hit the subscribe button because we'd love to see you in the future. So that's it for now, and we'll see you next time.